Um, so maybe just introduce yourself, name, what you do, how you're
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah, so my name is Terry Hedman, and I'm a social worker at Shakti Rising, which is a women's empowerment and leadership program that also has a transformational recovery program where women actually live in the home and do deep recovery work. And I'm actually the director of that program.
And so can you tell us a little bit more about Shakti Rising as far as where are the women coming from? What are the things that they're going through?
Yeah, so the women come from a variety of life situations. You know, we have women who come into the program who want to get sober, who have been, experiencing addiction, whether that's alcohol or drugs, any kind of substances. We have women who have been experiencing homelessness or even eating disorders, depression, whatever it may be, that really we view a broad perspective of recovery and addiction, that just as women we all have something to recover from, and that the women who find their way to us have a lot of times been through other programs and done a lot of more traditional forms of healing that for whatever reason hasn't served them, and we tend to get the women who have kind of slipped through the cracks and they end up in our program.
And so how has surfing collaborated into your Shakti model?
Well, like even just thinking about it, my heart is like, oh gosh, because I have such a personal experience with surfing myself. And really at Shakti, we don't believe that there is any one way to do your healing work, that actually there are multiple ways of learning and experiencing and teaching, and that any way that we can give a person an embodied experience is going to be deep and meaningful and supportive in their recovery, that we really believe in teaching to multiple learning styles. And so at Shakti, in the work of like personal transformation and recovery, there is no better teacher or metaphor than the ocean. That really the women have been given a really tangible experience of being totally afraid of something and going for it anyways, and it being okay to mess up, it being okay to look silly or to fall or to slip or whatever that may be, and that you just get back on the board and you paddle out again. That's all you have to do, and that is such a metaphor and it parallels the journey of recovery so beautifully. And that also being able to just get outside and connect in the natural world, to get to be in the ocean. You know, some of our women would just look forward to like being in a wetsuit in the water. That was like all that they wanted to do, and yeah, that really it's also provided some really rich metaphor that I know for me as a therapist working there in groups and doing individual sessions, that there's been ways that I've been able to parallel and create metaphors based on wherever they're at in their recovery journey to actually relate it to surfing and the things that they're learning out in the water, and how that actually is just a part of what they're learning in life.
And so how would you put to words the therapeutic experience of surfing? So like experiential therapy and how surfing is a part of that.
Mm-hmm. I'm just pausing for a moment because I want to. So much of what happens for the women in having experienced some of the things that these ladies have been through is they're just not even in their body. But that's what trauma does to us, that we actually like kind of vacate the premises, so to speak, and a lot of the women are dissociated, or just it doesn't feel safe to be in their body. They don't trust their body. They're not connected to their body. And so being able to have that experience in surfing, and that like really that like just like deep focus, present moment awareness, like these women get to be back in their bodies again and get to experience the ocean and the waves, and the ways that it's different every single time that you go, that it's almost like an invitation home. They get to come back inside of themselves.
And so what has surfing meant to you?
Surfing has, I feel like, been a huge part of my own personal recovery journey, that I learned more about perseverance and facing your fears, and also just about like being connected to something larger than myself. I think anytime you're, working in recovery and looking at these deeper pieces, that being able to connect to a higher power, whatever that means for you, is a really critical piece of that process. And so I know for me that there is no denying that the ocean is bigger than me, that it's like a power higher than me, that it, it only takes like a day of like rough conditions or large waves to just be totally humbled and to recognize that, yeah, that is definitely bigger than me. And I think that perspective has really served me just in my own journey, and being able to just go be in the salt water and to make the choice when I'm out there to leave whatever doesn't serve me, to just leave it in the ocean and trust that, it can stay there with the waves, and I can come out clean and clear and ready for whatever else life may throw at me.
And if you could sum up your experience with Groundswell Community Project, and our sessions together in one word or phrase, what would you choose?
I would say hope. Yeah, hope.
And is there any like moments or specific stories from the sessions, from the experience together, that you would like to share?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm gonna have to take a moment to like, which one is the one? I mean, there's been several. There's two that really stick out to me the most. One of which is with one of our ladies who would never learned how to swim. Actually, she, grew up in life's circumstances where attention wasn't paid to those kinds of things, and it was a really big part of her treatment plan. Actually, was getting her in the water and getting her swimming lessons. And so here's this woman who is finding her voice, is working her recovery, is totally facing a huge fear, doesn't know how to swim, and that every single time she would still get her wetsuit on, she would get the board. I mean, she would go out to water that was like waist high. She wasn't like out there in the waves, but like just the really tangible experience of just going for it and facing her fear every single time. And that in the time that she was doing these surf lessons, we were also able to connect her with another woman that I had met who surfs, who also does swimming lessons. And so she was able to offer her swimming lessons for free. And so she's been working with her for a couple months now and like actually learning how to swim. And she talks about like, I'm really missing the ocean. Like, she's learning how to swim in a pool, but she's like, it's just not the same. And she actually asked if she could borrow a wetsuit because her swim teacher had told her about a bay that's really calm where she could actually go and swim in the ocean. And that she was just missing it so much that she wants to keep surfing. Like, she wants to continue doing it. And I can just say in the work that I'd done with her, that surfing was a cornerstone of her treatment plan of like being able to face the other fears that she was coming up against in her life. And then another one that stood out to me was one of our girls who I don't know that she ever really necessarily had a board and was out there surfing. I mean, I think maybe there was like 3 or 4 times when she was actually out there surfing, but she, like, all she wanted to do was be in a wetsuit and go swimming in the waves because she said she felt like a seal. Like, that was all she wanted to do, and she just, like, loved it. And she'd have this intention of going out and just letting the waves hit her, and, like, that it would clean and clear, and that it would, like, take away things that she was ready to let go of. So really, she almost got to have, like, this experience of, like, a ritual of just, like, cleansing and cleaning and releasing that I know was really important for her and continues to be because of the trauma that she's working through. And that we even still plan times where we get to go have sessions at the beach and get to just like have our feet in the water and get to give things over to the ocean and get to be supported in that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so what would you say made the groundswell sessions different than just a surf session or learning how to surf?
Mm-hmm. Well, getting to do it in a circle of women, getting to do it in community, and that it wasn't it's funny because when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it was about surfing and learning how to surf, but like it was about so much more than that too. It was about like supporting one another, taking the time before we go out to like get in our bodies, do a grounding. There was always intention that was set around it and something that they could take out into the water with them as they were surfing that day, and just allowed for like a deeper presence and self-reflection throughout the experience. And then again, always coming out afterwards and circling up together and doing takeaways or just talking about what they learned from the ocean or what they were grateful for about the ocean. And also the ways that there were other people who came in and out from the community who were also a part of what I would consider a like social change movement, like women's activism. You know, I remember having several people come in. I can't remember what her name was, but there was someone else who came in to talk about, you know, Mariana, yeah, about like other women's issues and getting involved. So yeah, it was about surfing, but it was about a lot more too. Really about intention and presence and self-reflection, and doing it in a circle, doing it in sisterhood and in community, and supporting one another through it. You know, there would be times where when we were closing out, you know, a woman would relate to like, oh, I couldn't get out past the break, and it was like such a metaphor for like what my life is like. Everybody else is out there, and I just can't do it, and you know, could get really upset, but also in that moment, like receive support from the other women in the circle, like to just be seen, given a hug, held, allowed to just have that space to make that connection with how it was present in her life. So yeah, it's about surfing, but it's about so much more than that.
It was fun sharing it with you.
Yeah, I know the ladies are missing it. We've been trying to think about like, oh, well, maybe we could just go do a beach day. Or I know that even after we'd had our sessions with you and had the opportunity to go and give back to the community and do like surfing with kids who had disabilities, and to just like have that come full